You just failed to understand what the author meant.
The author meant to be as gross as possible because it was funny.
No, that's such a simplistic view.
Ooh, we are back, baby. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk, and I'm here to talk to you about South Park. Or more specifically, the way they handle people who don't get what the show is about or what they're trying to say, which I will mostly be examining via the episode, The Tale of something. Okay, you know what, for reference, because I can't say it because it'll likely get this video removed from YouTube, we're just gonna call it The Tale of Brandon Rogers. And no disrespect to Brandon Rogers, I love Brandon Rogers, it's just I needed a random name, so Brandon Rogers popped up. Okay, good. But you know my routine, we must first talk about a bunch of episodes leading up to the central theme before we get to the actual episode. Now recently, South Park released an episode making fun of President Trump, and who I call Stump in the episode for reasons. And it was their first episode to air in 2 years. And not just make fun, I'd argue, or even mock, just do pretty much what all of Congress has been afraid to do. Or basically just the government in general. And I made a video on it that did really well, and for that, I say thank you guys. You get a hell of a heart. Or at least you would, but you can't see it because you're probably in front of a screen. It's been months since I've talked about South Park, and it's great I get at least another chance to talk about it here. So let's discuss. Now with South Park, they are satirists, meaning they make fun of current events and issues plaguing our society and our world, both political and social. And unlike most shows, South Park's main strength is that they make fun of everybody and anybody, even themselves and the people they agree with, along with the people they disagree with. And even if I disagree about an episode or its execution or what topic they picked, I do still respect it, because they do stick to their opinion 98% of the time. Unfortunately, not everybody analyzes South Park as intensely as I do, be honest, you don't. And as a result, they tend to take the wrong messages from this show, from this raunchy cartoon about a bunch of kids living in the mountains of Colorado, or think it's agreeing with them when it isn't. That's where The Tale of Brandon Rogers, yes, I know it's not what it's really called, but you know my whole thing, The Tale of Brandon Rogers comes in. It's an episode specifically written about how people misinterpret books, and arguably how Matt and Trey react when people misinterpret their products, especially their show. Is it a worthy episode? Well, let's discuss. But yeah, first, you guys know my whole routine by now. We probably should discuss why people misinterpret South Park in general. First off, I think it's pretty common for people to misinterpret anything, especially media. This isn't limited to South Park. You just see what you want to see or what'll help you in the moment. In my other video, the most recent South Park video, I brought up the idea of Cartman pretending to be a trans girl to use the girl's bathroom in The Sissy. Now, every few months, that clip circulates on Twitter as proof that South Park supports transphobia, that Cartman is a transphobic warrior.
She's got the whole school believing that she's attracted to girls, but she's dating you. So what does that make you, Stan? A girl. Stan's a girl. You better curb your dog, Stan. You better curb your dog before people start ripping on you.
No, I don't think South Park tries to be transphobic. I just feel like they have a lot of problems with how they present their opinions and how they word them that honestly do come off as very transphobic, and honestly they do need to reevaluate those and work on them, but that's another story for another time, and Lily Simpson says it better than I ever could. So let's play the clip here.
Did you notice the bow? I'm not comfortable with the I was assigned at birth, so I'm exercising my right to identify with the gender of my choice. Now get out of my way, I have to take a shit.
So from this one clip, it would of course be easy to think that the episode is edgy and transphobic like every other thing in the 20,000s. But there is something you're fundamentally lacking, and that's context, which will be important for everything. Context-wise, Cartman is pretending to be trans, but not because he's a warrior of the far right. He's just doing it because he's Cartman and he wants his own private bathroom, so what better way than to corner the staff and to blackmail them into giving it to him, since the bathroom in the boys' room is always crowded during lunch. Cartman, look, I get it. Public bathrooms suck. Like, I have a fear of public bathrooms. Oh my god, it sucks when I have to go to an airport. But no, you aren't a hurting, confused child who deserves their own bathroom. You're literally just Cartman, and you're selfish, and you want what nobody else in school gets.
I just... Two people close to me are having gender identity issues, and I'm confused. He's cis, Ginger! He's so cis he wears a jockstrap to bed at night!
Plus, later in the episode, Wendy gets back at him for all the trouble he's causing by playing his same game, and pretending she's a trans boy named Wendell. Because if she's supposedly trans too, then she can use Cartman's own bathroom, because by his own rules, she can, meaning he'll have to share.
Because I don't want a chick watching me go poo!
I thought you were a chick.
No, I identify as a chick, but I'm still a boy. You can't make me share a bathroom with a girl that identifies herself as a f***ing dude.
And to the episode's credit, they did at least do their research, because they point out the difference between cisgender and transgender.
Cisgender. It's the politically correct name for people who aren't transgender. If you identify with the sex you were born with, then you're cis.
Like, no joke, this was the first time I found out there was a difference, or that said difference actually had a name, so thank you, South Park. Then we get episodes like the Panderverse, where Cartman learns about another universe where Kathleen Kennedy, aka the head of Lucasfilms, is ruining Disney via inserting diversity into franchises like the Disney live-action remakes, or Lucasfilms, even though, again, she's from Lucasfilm, so her reach is only limited to, like, Star Wars, not, like, Snow White. And even if the original work wasn't about that.
I asked you to put a chick in this and make her gay.
Yes, the chef was a little confused what you meant by that.
It means put a chick in the linguine and make her gay.
Again, from this clip alone, it's easy to think they're making fun of diversity itself and saying it's a bad thing, but no. What they're making fun of is shows and movies who add diverse characters and diversity pretty much to just say they do it, and they don't really do much else beyond having these characters to say they did it, like, oh, look at how progressive we are. Or they use these characters as excuses for poor, lazy writing, like, oh, you don't like House of the Dragon because it's pretty much, at this point, just Allison and Rhaenyra fanfiction and turned Rhaenyra into a Mary Sue? Well, clearly you're misogynistic and you have internalized misogyny.
Is that supposed to be Cartman?
It ain't Cartman, but it's still fat. Just more like Little Round and fat.
Yeah, like Tammy Mullen's knockers. Kenny, bruh.
Yeah, no offense, I'm a woman, and Rhaenyra was awesome in the books, even if she was evil and overweight. Like, speaking as somebody who is overweight, you're not being fatphobic by having an evil plus-size character. Look at Ursula, she's badass. And if you actually watch the episode, Cartman, aka the raging, misogynistic, fatphobic, xenophobic, anti-Semitic racist we're not supposed to root for, is the one who started this whole problem, since he sent endless strings of hate mail to Kathleen Kennedy herself, hence her doubling down on her efforts. And it isn't until later, when the pair actually do sit down and talk things out, that things actually do change for the better and Cartman gets punished.
Oh no. You guys are gonna listen to me this time. I need help, Cal. This is serious. Oh, God damn it.
Heck, I'll even give props to the voice actors for Panderverse Cartman, Janissa Adams Ginyard, I'm sorry if I butchered this, who, believe it or not, was also in the MCU as a stunt double and one of the Dora Milaje in Black Panther, which we know is totally Cartman and Token's favorite movie ever. She does a really good impression of Trey Parker's Cartman, and from what I've heard on her Wikipedia page, this was her first voiceover performance, so kudos.
Said I was a fat little white boy and you guys are all white boys too, and now look, y'all actually turned into him.
Do we know you?
I'm Cartman, and you're Cal, and you're Stan.
Again, the episode isn't saying you shouldn't add diversity. Diversity is good. It's just when you don't think for your choices or why you added it, or even do anything with it, that they turn out badly. Or when you do something insidious and you use minorities or marginalized groups as shields against criticism, which is unfair to these actors and it's just you trying to cover your own ass. However, there is another theory I have. A personal theory. I mean, it's just a theory. The people who misunderstand South Park have never actually watched South Park. Outside of maybe like a clip or two, or they haven't watched it enough. I mean, come on, you say Disney princesses are misogynistic. Did you even watch Sleeping Beauty? From an academic standpoint, it's actually one of the most feminist movies ever. I'm not even kidding. Like, that was almost my thesis in college. Just saying, all of these examples I named make more sense if you actually watch South Park. South Park has always been about making fun of diversity and woke stuff. It's nothing new. Like, the introduction of PC Principle was explicitly made to show why politically correct culture is bad. And why, in some instances, it can be a little good, but still somewhat bad. Cartman taking advantage of a cause to further his own ends is nothing new. Ginger Kids is one whole episode about that, and heck, I'll even use that as an example. The episode has been used by many people as an excuse to continue hurting and vilifying innocent people who don't deserve it just because of their hair, skin, stuff like that. It even inspired 2010's National Kick It Ginger Day, which for years has caused incidents that have been referred to by government agencies as borderline hate crimes. Ironically, what got Matt and Trey to make an episode based on such an inane topic was when they went to England to promote South Park and they saw a billboard that said, "Only you can prevent ginger," like it was saying it was a problem.
Okay, look, maybe I'm ginger, but I'm not like other ginger kids. I'm still me inside. Sorry, if we let one ginger kid in here, then the others are gonna start coming.
That episode wasn't to make fun of ginger kids, I mean, it kind of in a way, you know what I mean, and say that we should bully them off the face of the earth. The episode was about Carpen, again, being such a raging, narcissistic bully that instead of realizing why it's bad to bully these kids by having a daily dose of empathy, he instead decides that he needs to feel superior any way he can, even if it means killing all non-ginger kids in order to stay supreme, because then if they're all gone, he's gonna be at the top of the food chain. So be it.
And take non-ginger kids from their homes! We will eradicate them all with cages and torches and a pit of lava to throw them all in! I am not gonna live my life as a goddamn minority!
A lesson South Park has repeated time and time again is unfortunately many closed-minded people won't change even with a little empathy, even with a little research, even with you saying why that's bad, just because they're that dead set in their ways. I mean, that was the whole point of Cartman's subplot and with apologies to Jesse Jackson. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that Mr. Nelson just had to let go but couldn't.
Know that with some one-on-one time together with this Eric Cartman, I have a chance to change the way he thinks.
It might be best if you just let it go.
Oh yeah, with apologies to Jesse Jackson, where they repeatedly spend the whole episode saying the N-word. No, it's not an excuse for them to say one of the worst slurs ever over and over and over again. Here's an ending quote on why.
I've been trying to say that I understand how you feel, but I'll never understand. I'll never really get how it feels for a black person to have somebody use the N-word. I don't get it. Now you get it, Stan.
They're just using it to say that if there was a word like that, but for white people, it'd probably get banned in like a day, which happens at the end of the episode. Randy, instead of realizing he probably shouldn't have said that word and giving a genuine apology and accepting whatever consequences come his way, gets the word banned. And only the word he's been called, not the other word.
Tom, it appears that the epidemic is over. Oh, damn it, I said it, didn't I?
However, I do have one final idea on why people misinterpret South Park, and you're gonna hate me for pointing this out, but it's partially on the creators themselves. Ooh. Catherine. Okay. Look, Matt and Trey are comedic geniuses, and as I've made it clear many times in the past, they are some of my biggest inspirations as a creative and as a critic. But they're still human, and they're still prone to making mistakes. Maybe they don't explain their points well enough, like they did with Bored Girls, whereas some people have told me wasn't meant to make fun of trans women in sports, it's meant to make fun of PC Principal being in a catch-22, as in he has to wonder if he legitimately dislikes a person because they're a bad person, or because he's prejudiced, or both, which I think they did way better in sponsored content, but that's just me and my brain and I'm stalling. But okay, South Park, I do love the fandom, but sometimes it's very hard to actually have a conversation with many people who I suspect either take the wrong lessons from the show or aren't old enough to actually have a conversation about the show. Oh, you disagree with this take or think you could have done better? Well, obviously, you're a PC baby. No, there are times when South Park is incorrect, unfortunately. Or like I said, they just don't explain their points well enough so it comes off like they are, even if I do get the intention behind it. And yes, even if I do think South Park is a great show, there are times where I massively disagree with them, or I just don't know how to plain feel about them. Like the F word, for instance, is one episode I have not gotten to yet because I legitimately do not know how to take it. Or because, again, I think they handled something like that way better in sponsored content, which is probably why sponsored content is one of my all-time favorite episodes. Or even the whole message at the end of Cripple Fight, where Big AL is perfectly fine with the Scouts discriminating against him and continuing to discriminate against him and basically stalling progress just because I feel like this leads to a weird precedent in the real world. Like, oh, I can discriminate against whoever I want because it's my right.
And I'm proud to be in a country where I'm free to express myself. But freedom is a two-way street. If I'm free to express myself, then the Scouts have to be free to express themselves.
Funny story, the court case this episode is based on was based on a real court case, and it came from New Jersey, and the dude who led it, James Dowell, he went to my current alma mater, Rutgers. Only good thing to come out of there, besides the RC Cola, it's stuff your face. And let's not forget everything Matt and Trey have said about global warming, like to the point where they had to make a full-on two-parter apologizing to Al Gore and to their audience for mocking him. The difference is, for me at least, even with the worst episode episodes, I try to find some good in them or some common consensus. I mean, I feel like the episode where Mr. Garrison transitioned has aged very horribly, but the speech Sheila gave to Kyle about why trans people aren't evil is one I've tried to use a lot. Like, if one of my students were to ask me that in school, I'd probably give a similar speech.
Sometimes a person's outside doesn't reflect who they are on the inside. They can have a surgery that makes them more into the person they see themselves as.
The Tale of Brandon Rogers is a South Park episode all about people who misinterpret South Park, and why they do and why they continue to do so, and we're going to talk about it here. So, let's discuss. The kids are in Mr. Garrison's class one day when he tells them their next assignment is to, oh my god, get this, you're not going to believe it, read a book!
A book? God, I hate those.
You're no fun. Reading is a lot of fun. You can go to faraway places in your mind and never even leave the room. And I'm a dweeb, aren't I? Mega dweeb! Mr. Garrison goes on to explain that the book they're going to be reading is J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye. Oh my god, I hated that book. Even as a high schooler, I hated that book, and I still hate that book. The book, if you don't know, is basically about Holden Caulfield, this kid who goes to like this boarding school or something, and the whole book, he's basically a whiny kid complaining about his life, and realizing you grow up to be whiny or something like that. I don't know. It's just the book is boring, and the only thing I like about it is the cover, but yeah, that's about it.
Did you get to any dirty parts yet? No, it's still just some whiny, annoying teenager talking about how lame he is.
Mr. Garrison explained the book is controversial and was on a banned book list for the longest time, but has recently been taken off for reasons. Reasons I don't think they ever actually get into. Well, actually...
Mr. Garrison, didn't the guy who shot John Lennon say it was because of this book?
Yes, apparently John Lennon's killer said he was inspired by Catcher in the Rye, but he was just a kook.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Mark David Chapman, the man who shot John Lennon, was found with a copy of the book after he did the deed, and he related so much to the character that he wanted to change his name to Holden Caulfield. You know, the main character of the book? Wow. I mean, I love Hell of a Boss. Doesn't mean I'm gonna go from Abby to Luna, or from Abby to Blitz Buxo. His copy even had an inscription that read, "This is my statement, signed Holden Caulfield." Oh, and John Hinckley Jr. was found with a copy of the book after he attempted to shoot Reagan.
Kill Ronald Reagan! Kill Ronald Reagan!
Ronald Reagan is dead now, Butters.
Oh, really? Ah, gosh dang it.
Even if the whole point of him doing so was to impress Jodie Foster, who he stalked for a long time because of her role in the movie Taxi, or even Robert John Bardo, aka the man who murdered Rebecca Schaefer, God I'm old, from My Sister Sam, carried a copy of the book with him while he went to go do the deed. Wow, how much harm can a book cause? Especially a book about a whiny little crap like that dude. Mr. Garrison goes on to explain that the book is very, very, very dirty, and very, very, very risque, and very, very, very adult, and they need to be mature if they are to properly read and handle this.
You're telling us this book is filthy, inappropriate, and made a guy shoot the king of hippies? Can we please read this right now?
You will read it at home, and you will all be mature.
Dude, whatever happens after this is on you. You knew exactly what you were doing. You make it out like they're gonna read Lolita. That night, the kids start reading the book, and to their surprise, it's actually not that bad. What the hell? You got a kid to read?
The whole thing. I read the whole thing! Alright, I guess the cool offensive stuff must be coming. Alright, I guess all the dirty stuff is at the end. I just read a book! For nothing!
Okay, I have a few reasons for this that have been brewing. First off, there's this trope called Seinfeld is unfunny. Basically, what was shocking to our parents and grandparents isn't gonna be shocking to us, since it likely was either a long time ago, or it was a long time ago when, you know, our standards changed and all that crap, or it spawned a bunch of imitators and copycats, so we forget just how impactful it was once upon a time. Plus, like usual, I feel like context plays a role. That's why I feel like to some degree, you do need bad media, because even if it wasn't progressive or smart to us, well, maybe it was when it came out. Maybe it got people to have a deep conversation and realize, yeah, we can't do that, that's bad. I mean, didn't you guys read Upton Sinclair? Also, Holden Caulfield being lame and whiny, unfortunately, is the point of the novel. I mean, doesn't detract from the novel sucking for me, but that is the point. Be honest, come on. Were you not lame and whiny when you were a teenager? I mean, I was the lamest and the whiniest. I still kind of am. The novel is about a teenager, so what better way to make a statement than by realizing, like, OMG. This also reminds me of the episode Dead Kids, where I said one reason why nobody cared about school shootings besides Sharon is because This is South Park. They've battled Satan, Saddam Hussein, Imagination Land, NASCAR, so a serious traumatic issue to us, like school shootings, would honestly just be a normal Tuesday for them. Finally, I didn't make a video yet about what ideas South Park could do for this season, but I do think the idea of banning books would be a good one, since many books are being banned that honestly shouldn't be, for a plethora of reasons you can Google on your own time, and this is leading to a lot of legal battles. Imagine how funny it would be if Cartman doesn't like a particular book and tries to get it banned, especially since the next episode apparently is gonna be all about Cartman becoming an alt-right podcaster. Imagine, he gets the Cat in the Hat banned because the Cat in the Hat is apparently by his logic, a squatter who grooms kids or something stupid like that. But anyways, the kids wonder what's so bad about the book to get it banned. I mean, they're in 4th grade though, so I kinda get it. This is something you probably should start off with a middle school audience, just because they're the only people who are gonna start to get it, and they're kind of at the age where they'll understand it a bit more. But this is the same school where they teach kindergartners how to put on rubber, so maybe I should expect the unexpected. However, something does happen. Butters gets brainwashed.
Hey, Dad, where does John Lennon live?
John Lennon's dead, Butters.
Ah, dang it.
I always love how nonchalant Steve and Chris is about this. Oh yeah, he's dead, Butters. Also, it's gonna rain today. Don't forget your poncho. And Butters just being so disappointed. Oh no, sorry, poor you. But can we talk about how stupid it is to ban a book or a movie or a show, just off of that principle alone? No, whatever didn't drive this person to do it, they likely had a bunch of crap going on inside their heads to start with. It's not the fault of the product, it's the fault of the person who thought the product was speaking to them when it didn't. Did it outright tell them to put a knife in their hand and then go out and do something? No. Then you don't need to ban it on that principle. I mean, I can understand temporarily, if it's gonna trigger a few people, like they did with Die Young with Kesha, but not in a permanent state, this is going in the vault and never coming out type of ban. And hey, considering how a few episodes of South Park are apparently gonna be banned when the show finally makes its way to Paramount Plus, another reminder that the people behind Paramount are cowards, this is a conversation they should be having. Corbin decides to test the limits of censorship by proposing the idea that they should write a banned book, aka a book as dark and as repugnant as possible, that's specifically written to be as dark and repugnant as possible, that way it'll get banned. Because if J.D. Salinger could do it and he was on BoJack, then anybody can do it and be on BoJack.
Yeah, we should write our own banned book. Yeah, we could get a book banned way more than this one. Yeah, sweet.
I'm 98% certain this was how South Park was pitched, so they start writing the book, which again, for censorship reasons, I'm just gonna call The Tale of Brandon Rogers. Kind of hypocritical that I'm doing that, but unfortunately, I do have to worry about censorship, unlike Matt and Trey, ironically enough. The only good part about censorship for me is that it means sometimes you have to work more within the confines of what you get, which can lead to you producing smarter stuff if you know what you're doing. What I like is how the experience of writing the book sort of bonds the boys. They spend all their free time writing this travesty, purposefully the worst travesty ever, and they even involve Ike a few times. And Kyle, most of the time can barely stand to be around his brother to the point where he always kicks him away, so I just find it weirdly adorable for once they're having fun together. Unfortunately, something happens. See, due to the boys being 4th graders, they don't know how you hide your stuff you don't want your parents to see. And a sock drawer is the last place you put anything. Why don't you put a gun in there next?
Ew. He took a... What? Oh! Oh my god!
And why did you put it in Stan's sock drawer? His parents are the only ones who actually care enough to pay attention to him. You're just asking to get caught. What you should have done is either have Cartman hold onto it or Kenny. Leanne could be sweet-talked to look the other way, and Kenny's parents don't even know he exists. Albeit, I kinda get why, maybe. Stan's the only one who could probably keep an eye on it. Sheila would try to start a war with Canada over it. Wait, where was I? Oh yeah, I forgot, I'm sorry. Sharon finds the initial manuscript, and of course she finds it disgusting and gross. And again, this is the first draft. Spending most of her reading time puking all over it, which I will not show, but yeah, not a big fan of this part of the episode. I'm not a big fan of gross rat in general, and South Park is no exception, sadly, so skippies. Sharon goes downstairs to tell Randy, but makes the point that for as disgusting and raunchy as the book is, it's actually pretty genius. It's just really, really, really disgusting.
Randy,
It's really good. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever read, but the plot is amazing.
Yeah, totally not how the initial pitch for South Park's pilot went. Remember, Seinfeld is unfunny. The early seasons of South Park, do not shock me anymore outside of, 1 or 2 episodes. Again, I am majorly sorry. Randy reads it, and he agrees with Sharon about the gross out, but the geniusness behind it. Also, Amsterdam for some reason.
Sharon, it's the best book I've ever read.
Right? It's not just me.
No, the whole part about Amsterdam, wow!
Didn't this predate The Fault in Our Stars? Stan tells the boys that Sharon took the manuscript and that it's only a matter of time before they get in trouble. Likely remembering what happened with the town of Beaverton, Stan decides that if he goes down, they're all going down. And when his friends of course don't want to go down with him, they decide they need a scapegoat. And of course that scapegoat needs to be Butters. But because this will be important later, Butters is watching the Kardashians back when they were still relevant, and he loves the show they used to do, Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Today, my sisters and I are gonna have to watch something. It's gonna blow.
Kim Kardashian is so sexy. Her butt is like a big mountain of pudding.
Oh, Butters, you don't know what you're getting into. The boys gaslight Butters into thinking he wrote the book and just doesn't remember doing it, and to be fair, even Butters points out they don't have to try that hard.
Ever since I read Catcher in the Rye, I've been having these crazy thoughts of wanting to kill the Phonies. I must have channeled all my angst into dark writings in my sleep.
I'd make a joke, but I kinda want to keep this channel. The adults ask the kids about the book, and of course they blame Butters. They don't question why their names were on it, And remember that they, as in the adults, think the book is genius level caliber, so they're not gonna punish the boys. So they praise Butters, and furthermore, even tell him they submitted the book to a publisher, who wants nothing more than to publish it. That's his whole job, of course,
That we brought Mr. Needlebaum from Penguin Publishing to read it.
Mr. Butters, we would like to offer you a deal for first publishing rights to your brilliant novel.
Oh no, he's from Penguin Publishing, isn't he? You guys did watch Family Guy, right? You know what Penguin Publishing is like behind the scenes, right? Butters, of course, still sticks to his story that he wrote it, and he reaps in the benefits. Oof, sorry boys, this is probably the one time you should have came clean. Because honestly, it gets better. Butters' book ends up an overnight bestseller, and not just in America, internationally. That's truly an accomplishment for somebody who never wrote a book. It even spawns a game show where the contestants are read the audiobook version of The Tale of Brandon Rogers. I wonder how much editing it took to make that audiobook. Then they see how long you can go without puking, and nobody's gotten past the first paragraph. I wonder what the TV tropes page is like. Don't worry, I'll save you the embarrassment and the gross out experience by not playing it. Only time I'm glad for censorship. Butters comes out of the classroom one day, looking all smart and all cute in an unweird way, which is how I think I'd look if I were to ever become a best-selling author, but alas, I will never publish my pervy fanfiction because I'm not Emberlyn Pinkle. Also,
Hey, you guys leave Butters alone. He's a very fragile artist. He's so brooding and full of angst.
Yeah, I'm brooding.
Yes, the good old-fashioned romanticizing the mental illness that plagues us writers. What a double-edged sword. We make good art, but we are destroying ourselves and denying our own personal hygiene, likely mental and emotional, in addition to physical. Also, Butters took the right lesson from the book.
Now, let me tell you something, fellas. You always take advantage of me, and after reading Catcher in the Rye, I've learned you're nothing but phonies. I'm not letting you trick me this time.
Good for you, Butters. Good for you. Although, admittedly, it's kind of how I felt when I first started getting famous and going to conventions. Even if I personally don't think I'm that famous, to be quite honest, but it doesn't stop people from telling me I am. If I'm being even more honest, I've wanted to review this episode for literal years at this point. Probably ever since I first started reviewing South Park. Since being a writer and a YouTube personality, I've started to reevaluate a lot of stuff I used to watch that features writing as a theme, or just writers talking about being writers. Being a writer, you see these works in a different way, and it's one of the few times you're let in on what writing is truly like by the people who actually do it. I made a whole video on Diane in the episode Good Damage because it's still weird to think there are people who will still walk up to me or comment in my comment section and tell me how my PMDD campaign is the reason they're even alive because it encouraged them to get diagnosed, or that honestly it is hard to write about sad things when you're in a better headspace because because you honestly forget what it was like to feel that way, or at least forget enough to be able to viscerally describe it. Because if I sound pissed in a video, chances are I'm actually pissed about something in real life, and I just needed to like channel that anger into something. I told you, my videos are a way for me to scream. With Butters, there's another idea that's made me reevaluate myself, and that's how other people take my work. I think with my video essays, there are times where I feel people misinterpret what I'm saying or take what I say out of context, which is why I normally try to over-explain myself as thoroughly as possible. I want to get my point across, and I want to be sure you understand it, even if I probably shouldn't say all that. Like, I should trust you guys, but I don't even trust myself. But there have been times where people either take my words out of context, or I feel like I just don't explain my points well enough. Like with my Cartman and Kyle video, I wasn't trying to say that Kyle was as bad as Cartman, or even that Kyle deserved HIV because he just laughed at Cartman getting the disease. Come on, HIV is one of the worst things out there. Why would I ever say that? Nobody deserves that, and it's terrible that even today there's no vaccine nor a cure. What I was trying to say was that I felt the two had a lot of similarities, and Kyle just doesn't want to admit he's basically a skinnier, more altruistic version of Cartman. I try to think of them as being like Dib and Zim, like that way. One is fundamentally better than the other, but effectively they're two sides of the same coin, especially considering episodes like Crack Baby Athletic Association. And Kyle's major flaw for most of the show is being a holier-than-thou hypocrite. I mean, Kyle basically nuked Canada just because a girl broke up with him. However, for those of you who do say you disagree with me or that my take was piss poor, I do appreciate you, since I know to do better for next time, and I'll be honest, I hate getting criticized in real life, but I know that on YouTube, I absolutely need to hear it because it's the only way I'll ever get better. Like, maybe the problem was I rushed out a script, or maybe I should have kept it in the back burner a bit more, but I think with my works, you generally get my general interpretation, beliefs, or gist. With South Park, that show is a bit harder to decipher, but it's still there. You know the general gist of what they're getting across, or what they're trying to. Only, well, I should preface this by saying that South Park is so big and has had such an impact on American culture that it's actually taught in colleges. The Chewbacca defense is literally taught at law schools. I keep telling you, my South Park disability rep video wasn't made for YouTube. It was a final assignment for a disability class I took for my WGS major. Obviously, Matt and Trey did not intend this when they wrote the show, and they probably still don't intend it, but it's still happening. Butters is on the Today Show, and he's asked the meaning behind his book, where people pick at small moments that aren't there and think there's more to this book than there actually is. For example, they think a scene of Brandon Rogers doing obscene things to a horse, which ironically Brandon Rogers did have that one video with Georgie Leahy, is meant to be a commentary on the American healthcare system.
Sorry, was that chapter a slam on healthcare reform as people have suggested?
Yeah, pretty much. I think so.
Is that why the doctor character...
Okay, this is another good discussion topic. Yes, Matt and Trey did not intend for their show to be this seriously picked at, or that intensely. And hey, I'm an English major. I love discussing obscure stuff that probably wasn't there, or meant to be there, and the author probably did not intend for. I love torturing children. But I am of the opinion that, at times, sometimes a little discussion is good. To some degree, I think people seeing stuff that isn't there, or forming their own theories or opinions, is proof that you wrote something good or interesting. Because it had that much of an impact on them that this world and this work can survive independent of you. Isn't that why we write? To leave behind a legacy? So what if it's not real? To these people, it might as well be. For me personally, yes, the author probably did not intend for it, but if you can use textual evidence to back up your point, and it doesn't border on insane troll logic, and you're not using it to hurt people, well, you're usually okay in my book. Maybe it might seem like a stretch, but if it makes sense to you or helps you, you're fine. Yes, the author's intention is a big way to make this point, but I want to borrow a quote from BoJack. Often, after you tell or publish your story, fiction or real, it doesn't become your story anymore, it becomes everybody else's. And people are gonna interpret it any way they want, even if it's not what you wanted, and unfortunately, they are going to judge you for it. And I brought up all these examples with South Park. If you can think of any others down below, like, please say it, especially like other South Park episodes. What I find ironic, however, is that the main people who misinterpret the tale of Brandon and Rogers are all adults. Like, the kids are happy for Butters, but they're not like, Butters, I love how your book told me that I should quit drinking or whatever. And the adults claim they only get it because it went over, like, the boys' head because they're kids.
No writer would take the time to make fun of Sarah Jessica Parker just because they think she's ugly.
Yes, they would!
Miss Jessica Parker is a metaphor in the book for oppression felt.
I feel Matt and/or Trey have had this conversation a few times, especially with the people they know. The boys try to get the Tail Up Brandon Rogers banned because it's not meant to be deep, it's just smutty, childish crap for the sake of smutty, childish crap.
Oh, so you're suggesting that the author just arbitrarily made fun of Sarah Jessica Parker for no reason?
Yes!
But what would be the point?
There is no point!
Okay, a few things. Yes, this episode makes fun of Sarah Jessica Parker, like a lot, like a whole darn lot, and also Matt and Trey have been open about the fact that with the exception of certain celebrities like Paris Hilton or Barbra Streisand, they typically don't hate the people they mock, they're just easy targets for mockery. Even Kathy Lee Gifford, the first celebrity they ever mocked, they had no malice towards, they just needed a quick celebrity to make fun of, and chose her basically at random. I feel the same went for Sarah Jessica Parker. They just picked a random celebrity they could easily apply any kind of criticism towards and then just wrote an episode about that. Also, some people have said that Sarah Jessica Parker hated how the show mocked her, but I haven't been able to find any source on that. The interview people usually name did not even mention South Park. It was just about a random movie she did where she told Vogue, "We think it's funny to be mean and women say awful things about other women and use terrible language and call each other awful names. It's so uncivilized and vulgar, it's not good for our souls." And yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker did not talk in the episode, and South Park doesn't really have a lot of, like, women on staff. Like, they do have, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think she's talking about South Park. Maybe she didn't personally like the episode, but she hasn't made her feelings towards it public. But another interesting thing about the episode, well, people have differing interpretations, especially political ones, which strangely seem to support them and their political beliefs and interpretations, and it's always twisted towards that people, sometimes to the point of mental gymnastics.
This book is an important look at how liberals are hurting this country.
What?
And we...
Most conservative hating liberal in literature.
What book did you read?
There's nothing about liberals or conservatives!
Okay, for the record, Matt and Trey are both libertarians and have said they hate both sides of the political spectrum, so an episode might mock that one political party and then the next episode will support that same party. Like, you can't really say either or. But the thing is, I'll be perfectly honest, yeah, I've been guilty of this a few times. Like, purposefully misinterpreting an episode to suit my own agenda or opinion. I think one of the biggest I've done is the episode where Stan has to vote for the school mascot, since I made the point that the episode says that if you can't decide who to vote for who you think would be the least bad choice, like the lesser of two evils. When yeah, that's the point of the episode, and that's partially what the PETA leader told Stan, but that's not the point of the episode. The whole point of the episode, which part of me disagrees with, is that voting is a right, and like all other rights, you have the right to exercise it by just not plain voting. It just, again, my whole point is even if I disagree with South Park, I try to find some point I agree with in the episode. Still, I think another good point they make is that maybe more people would be more apt to vote or have more confidence or faith in voting if the two choices put forward weren't always so terrible, or if their voting choices actually did matter for once. So yeah, thanks for calling me out, guys. However, I do understand people who take their lessons from South Park. Again, as somebody who does or has. I mean, the Scientology episode was how I learned about Scientology. It was how David Miscavige's niece found out about the Scientology creation story. And fun fact, she was raised in the Church of Scientology, so it's like growing up Catholic and never knowing the story of, like, Jesus, or like growing up Jewish and never knowing about Moses. Or the quintuplet episode was how I found out what the Elian Gonzalez case was and just what all the fuss was about, because when was that? I was born in 99, so like, was I even around for that? Heck, growing up and watching shows like Family Guy or American Dad or even South Park, while I do think many of their takes have aged, well, that was when I first started to realize that queer people weren't evil or they weren't bad. They were just normal people who deserved rights. Yes, Matt and Trey didn't mean to create something good from their vulgar show, they just wanted people to laugh at it or something, but unfortunately, they just did. And yes, sometimes having no point is the point. So long as it's funny and it all clicks, that's your point. Your existing is your point. Maybe the point is you want other people to watch and laugh, because like how Good Damage pointed out, sometimes a work that's meant to be escapist can do a lot more good than a work that's meant to inform. Maybe the point is you just wrote something and you want to show the world. The point of me making YouTube videos is I have a lot of opinions I want to share with people. And I know people might not always agree with me, but I hope I explained it well enough that you and I can come to some understanding. Unfortunately, because Butters thinks he wrote the book, he decides he's going to write a sequel, and it's promising to be a very intense spiritual novel.
Can you give the public any idea what the new book is about?
Well, it's kind of about love and betrayal. The inner workings of the human mind.
Oh, cool. So like every book ever, basically. Strangely, at times like these, I do wish they actually released the books from the show. Like, I know why they obviously can't, but imagine how fun that would be. Apparently, somebody sold a copy of A Million Little Fibers on the Amazon ebook. Like, obviously it's not the whole book, but it's something. Just because I want to know what the book is about to require all these themes that apparently aren't there. Butter's follow-up to The Tale of Brandon Rogers is The Poop That Took a Pee. What the hell? How would that even work? Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna call it Magic Funhouse, okay? You guys know what that is, right? No, no one does, Kitty, because Brandon Rogers doesn't own the rights to that show anymore. Okay, well, the whole show is pirated on YouTube for free. You'll thank me later. Carbon decides the only way to get both books banned is by staging a national tragedy, with Sarah Jessica Parker as the sacrificial lamb. Of course, nobody wants to actually do it because a book might be that bad, but it's no reason to end somebody over. But yeah, this sorta comes back. Not Sarah Jessica Parker. I mean, she was awesome in Hocus Pocus. Magic Funhouse comes out, and I am reminded that because I was born when bookstores were becoming obsolete, well, I'm old, and I'll never get to experience camping out at a bookstore overnight to, like, you know, read a book, because I used to love books. Heck, Amazon and pre-orders are a thing, so I could probably just never leave my house if I want a book that badly. Ugh, right when I wanted to get into Harry Potter, now that I'm actually old enough to appreciate it, the creator turns out to be a crappy human being. Ooh, another idea for a South Park episode. Like art versus artist, especially for somebody like her. The book is read on The Today Show by Morgan Freeman, I mean, the king of narrators next to Keith David, and I can't give too much away, but yes, you can tell Butters absolutely wrote it, just by how juvenile it is, especially tone-wise. The boys think such a situation is perfect for them because writers all have a voice. Even if you try copying another writer or plagiarizing another writer, you still have a voice and we can tell. But they forget their audience believes Sarah Jessica Parker is a metaphor for oppression felt by the lower class, so of course they're gonna believe anything.
It might be better than his first book.
I agree. It wasn't as edgy, but it's like he's gone back to his roots.
What? You can't be serious. You people like this?
Yeah, I'm kind of on their side. Butters only wrote the one book, and he has no other published writing other than The Tale of Brandon Rogers. So how do you know he's going back to his roots? However, another point I think people forget is while this doesn't apply to South Park most of the time, well, most shows aren't written or told by one person. They're usually the work of a whole crew. Like, yeah, Hell of a Boss is Viv's story, but she's not the one who tells it. And while Trey Parker primarily writes South Park nowadays, well, it wasn't always just him. It used to be him and Matt, or somebody else, or him and someone else, like Dan Sterling, or Philip Stark, or David R. Goodman, or Trisha Nixon, or a bunch of other people. Heck, the last 2 episodes of Season 3 weren't even directed by either or of them. They were directed by Eric Stogge. TV shows are the bulk work of an entire team of people, after all. Of course, the beliefs on how a show portrays stuff is gonna change over time, depending on stuff like showrunners or different writing staff. Unfortunately, some dude takes the wrong interpretation from Magic Funhouse and decides to use it to take out the Kardashians.
And the poop and the pee lived happily ever after. The end. Kill the phonies! Kill the phonies!
I'm guessing maybe Magic Funhouse mentioned them like once or twice. Or he watched Butters' interview about The Tale of Brandon Rogers where he mentioned liking them and he kind of made some correlation that wasn't there. The attempt succeeds and Butters is blamed for what happened.
By Leopold Butters Stotch. It's all over. The Kardashians? Wiped out. In the blink of an eye.
Plus, honestly, at least in the boys' case, they were only going to get rid of Sarah Jessica Parker. Like, I think Butters got rid of like 4 or 5 different people, which, again, it's not his fault, but from their perspective it is.
All because one little prick had to go and write a book. Leopold Stotch.
I hope they bury you!
Do I need to reiterate this? No, it's not your fault. I just made a joke. Like, it really is not your fault. Yes, there is a discussion to be had that sometimes certain pieces of media glorify violence, but in such a case like this, no, it's not the fault of the author. Almost always, it's the fault of the person who misinterpreted the book in such a horrific fashion. For me, this is the same as saying that Marilyn Manson caused a tragedy. No, you're not solving the root of the problem. If anything, you're just deflecting blame. Remember how everybody said Beavis and Butthead caused a kid to burn down his trailer park home? Yeah, fun fact, that kid did not have cable, so there was no way in heck he could see the episode in question. But just as the boys wanted, the book is banned. Both books. Permanently shelved. And Butters is upset because, yeah, the fact your work got somebody hurt or injured, well, is a major thing to struggle with. And it's something I hope I never have to struggle with.
Listen, we've all learned that people look for meaning in books. And sometimes, even if it isn't there, they'll try and invent their own meaning.
Yeah, dude. That's why we all need to avoid books and stick to television.
But that's the episode, and I think that's a big reason why South Park is misinterpreted. Even if you didn't intend for it to happen, it still happened. And it's pretty genius. Yes, you shouldn't base your beliefs on South Park, but you can't help but admit the show has helped at times. I mean, literally, they got Steven Spielberg to stop editing his own movies. Anyhow, bye.